How's it going, everyone? Pastor Plays here. Wanted to get into our first EDH deck tech. So those that don't know me, or those that I guess should say that do know me, know that I love playing Commander. It's really the only form of Magic that I play, other than playing on Arena. And even when I play on Arena, I play Brawl. But I have a fun deck that I just built from the new Kamigawa set, Neon Dynasty, that is a lot of fun. It requires a lot of thinking and math, unfortunately, which is not one of my strong suits, but it gets pretty nutty. So let's get right into it.
All right, let's get into the deck tech. So today, we are going to take a look at one of my newer builds from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, Isshin of the Two Heavens. Here, let's move my face out of the way. First off, if you're not using tapped.net for your Magic decks, I highly suggest making an account. It's really easy to log these decks live based off the cards you have or the cards you want, and then it gives you all kinds of stats, which we'll get to later. And if you want to check out any of my other decks, you can click right here. What's your life total? What's underscore your underscore life underscore total, and all my other decks that we have and are using are on there. But let's get to this one. So, Isshin, the Two Heavens as one. He's a 3/4 human samurai for Mardu, red, white, black. And it says, if a creature attacking causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. And I love this flavor text. Trained by the Imperials but disillusioned by their rigidity, he gave his heart and his sword to the Asari Uprising. So in the lore of the Asari are the opposing force to the ruling powers of the day, and they're trying to overthrow. So Isshin is kind of caught between that struggle. This deck is pretty nutty. We've played through a few times now, the wife and I, and turns out Mardu attack triggers is pretty powerful. So you're probably familiar with another commander named Wolfgar, who is a 5-drop in Gruul, which is green-red. His ability seems similar, but it's a little bit different. So what Wolfgar says is if a creature you control attacks, causes a triggered ability, it triggers an additional time. Isshin, being in Mardu, this makes a lot more sense as if a creature attacking, meaning if any of your opponents at the table have creatures attacking and it causes anything on your table to trigger because of that, those are also going to trigger a second time. So it's pretty cool, and there's some ways we can incentivize our friends to fight each other instead of us. So let's get to it. We'll start with our creature base. And these are in alphabetical order. Obviously, there are various mana costs, but we'll start at the top. Adeline, Replenishing Cathar. Wow, I can't say that. This is an awesome legendary from Crimson Vow. Or not Crimson Vow. Midnight Hunt. From Midnight Hunt. So she is a 1 and 2 white legendary human knight with vigilance. It says Adeline Resplendent Cathar. Wow, I'm not going to be able to say that. Power is equal to the number of creatures you control. So you're going to realize when you go through the other cards in this set, you are going to make a lot of tokens very fast. So Adeline's going to get very big, and she's got vigilance, so she's a good big swing with also that ability to block. She does have a tiny butt at 4 toughness, but that may not be a big deal with some of the other cards we got in here. And here's what's important, though, the attack trigger. Whenever you attack, for each opponent, create a 1/1 white human creature token that's tapped and attacking that player or planeswalker they control. So when this syncs up with Isshin, you have 3 people at the table, you're going to make 6 1/1 tokens, and that's going to boost her by 6 right away, depending on what else you have on the battlefield as well. Very powerful. Those 1/1s are going to come into big play with some of the other cards you can kind of synergize together with later. But yeah, so this is a token generator making double tokens per opponent. It is important to note with her, though, when those tokens do come in tapped and attacking, those do not trigger attack triggers on other cards because they're already attacking. So you have to wait till the second turn in which those tokens could then make attack triggers. Acorn Hoplite for red-white. It's a human soldier, a 1/2. Whenever a Acorn Hoplite attacks, it gets +X +O until end of turn, where X is the number of attacking creatures you control. This is just an early game, turn 1 or 2, probably more like turn 2. Creature that we can get out that if we can get this out quick, it can smack decent sized attacks pretty early on. Turn 3, turn 4, you're swinging 4, 5, 6 maybe, depending on what gets out. That's pretty powerful early on. So there's usually someone at the beginning of the game that's wide open, and this card can be a first couple smacks on that person with Isshin out. So a lot of times if I have a Cronin Hoplite in opening hand, I'm waiting to play Isshin, or actually I'll play Isshin on turn 3. If I don't have any of my 1 or 2 drops out early, then I'm probably going to hold off on Isshin for a few turns to build a board state. But this is a good, so it's going to get that plus X plus O. It's going to get that twice because of Isshin, which is pretty crazy. So with Adeline and Necron out and all these 1/1s, and it's going to get this huge buff, and it's going to get that huge buff twice. Now, once again, it's got a tiny butt at 2, but you're looking just to smack some damage with this guy. And what's fun about Mardu is it's all about exploiting the first mechanic of Magic ever, and that's to turn things sideways and swing and attack. So pretty fun. Next up, we have Bruce Tarl, Boorish Herder, legendary creature, human ally from Commander Legends. He's a 3/3. He's a 2 and a red-white to drop. His text says, when Bruce Tarl, Boorish Herder, enters the battlefield or attacks, target creature you control gains double strike and lifelink until end of turn. So Bruce Tarl's fun because when he first comes in, you're going to get use out of that ability. But also, whenever he attacks, 2 creatures are going to get lifelink and double strike. This combined, like I said, with Adeline or a Crone can help us with some of the crackback you're going to receive. So one of the things you're going to learn with this deck is you turn a lot of things sideways, and if you don't have Vigilance Enablers out, which we have a couple in here, you're going to experience crackback, and you're also going to be aggro, pulling the attention of the table. So Bruce Tarl helps at least keep our life total up. It doesn't help us with the commander damage, but it does help us from just outright dying to damage. So pretty useful. And double strike, don't sleep on double strike. Next up, Brutal Horde Chief, another good synergy card with both Isshin and the rest. It's a 4-drop, 3 and a black for Orc Warrior 3/3. It says whenever a creature you control attacks, defending player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Once again, triggering twice. So every creature you're going to ping everyone for 2 and you're going to gain 2. So another one that's going to drain the table and keep us alive. The second ability isn't as relevant in this deck, but in a lot of ways can be fun. You can pay 3 in hybrid red-white, and you can choose the way creatures block. So depending on what your board state looks like, you can effectively board wipe and clear a way for your creatures to swing sideways. And yeah, that's pretty powerful given the right board state. It's not super relevant to the strategy, but late game, if he comes out and you need to just control the board to get stuff through, that's going to be a good source for that. Captain Lannery Storm, 2-drop, or 3-drop, sorry, 2 and a red, legendary creature, human pirate, 2/2 with haste. That haste is super strong with this too, because we want to get this engine going right away. If she's out and Isshin's out, it says when Captain Lannery Storm attacks, create a colorless treasure token. With sacrifice this, add 1 mana of any color. She's going to help get the mana you need for the rest of the game. So 2 treasures per swing. And like I said, you're just looking for whoever's open at the table, and then you're going to try to swing at them, create some treasure. That treasure comes into handy because Isshin becomes target number 1 pretty often. So you're going to be casting them probably 2-3 times a game. Chaos Channeler. This is going to help us with some card advantage. He's a 2 and 2 red. For an uncommon human shaman 4/3, so our butts are getting a little bit bigger. He's got Wild Magic Surge. It says whenever Chaos Channeler attacks, roll the D20. So this is fun from the D&D set. 1 through 9, exile the top card of your library. You may play this card this turn. 10 through 19, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. And if you roll a crit at 20, exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. If you crit with Isshin, you're going to reveal 6 cards that you can play this turn. So if you have the mana built up from Lannery, and maybe it's late game and you crit out on this, it is going to be insane. You're going to play a ton of stuff in your second main, and maybe even have some instant speed stuff to remove blockers. That's pretty powerful. I really enjoy using that. Cheering Fanatic, another sneaky one in a red. This is one we're trying to get out early. When Cheering Fanatic attacks, choose a card name. Spells with a chosen name cost 1 less to cast. So essentially, with Isshin, a spell in your hand will cost 2 less to cast, meaning a lot of your mana rocks are going to be free, and any of your big cost spells, you're probably going to be able to get them back into a curve to be able to play them earlier. Pretty cool. This card usually gets blocked and killed fast, but as you said, all you need is 1 reducer to get its value out. Here's another fun one. Delina Wild Mage, 3 and a red, legendary creature, elf shaman, 3/2. Whenever Delina Wild Mage attacks, choose target creature you control, then roll the d20. 1 through 14, you create a tapped attacking token of it, and it exiles at the end of combat. But 15 through 20, you create one of those tokens, and you roll again. I've rolled like 3 or 4 times on this, and remember, Isshin's ability causes you to roll twice right away no matter what. Copying things like a Goldspan Dragon, which is on this set list, gets real nutty. Remember, these tokens do come in tapped and attacking, so you're not going to get attacks triggers on those tokens, and they will exile at the end of turn, or at the end of combat, which is important to note, end of combat, so you can't second main trickery to keep them. But still, when someone's not expecting to get hit by 4/4/4s, that can cause some damage, so that's pretty powerful. Distracting Geist, this is a fun one. So 2 and a white for a creature spirit, 2/1 whenever Distracting Geist attacks, tap creature defending player controls. This is how you clear the way for big creatures to smack through. So with Distracting Geist out, you're going to tap down 2 creatures, which maybe seems not as powerful, but this is a deck about turning sideways, so we want to get through however we can. Someone's playing Voltron strategy and they've got one thing just jammed up with equipment or auras. Sorry, but we're going to freeze him and we are going to swing right through. So pretty strong. And it can be flipped and disturbed. It says enchant creature. Enchant creature has whenever this creature attacks, tap up to a tap a target creature defending player controls. So it doesn't go away. You kill it and it comes back as an aura later on and attaches to a creature and does the same exact thing. Dracoseth. Here's one of our big bangers. So Dracoseth, you're probably familiar. He's an older dragon from M20, 4 and 3 red, legendary creature dragon with flying. He's a 7/7, which is just a big beater. But this ability, he's essentially an attacking board wipe with Isshin out. It says whenever Dracoseth Maw of Flames attacks, it deals 4 damage to any target and 3 damage to each of up to 2 other targets. So you're going to do 4, 8, 11, 15 damage? Am I counting that right? Yeah, 15 damage. Yeah, that's, no, even more than that. 8, 3 twice is 6, 14. You're going to do 20 damage with 1 swing of Dracoseth with Isshin out. You're effectively going to kill, throw some of that at your, straight at someone's opponent, right at their face, and then you're going to clear the board, if not that, which is just so powerful, so powerful. Atali, another 6/6, 6 drop, 4 and 2 red, Elder Dinosaur, dragon or legendary creature. When he attacks, he exiles the card off people's library. He's going to exile the top 2 off everyone's library. You're going to play them for free. Keep in mind, mana or lands don't get to be played twice during that. So if you already play your land for turn, those are just dead cards. But you're exiling someone's cards and playing them for free. You can get some big banger spells out of your friend's powerful decks with Atali and Isshin. Like I mentioned before, Goldspan Dragon had to make it into this deck. Flying haste 4/4. He makes treasure tokens when he attacks. And treasure tokens, this is just the added bonus. Tap for 2 mana. So he's going to help fix the mana as well as hit 4s in the air right away. This is a big bomber in the card as well. You're really going to be able to go wide and be able to provide all the mana in this color that doesn't have green. So those treasure tokens are super useful. Alright, another token generator. Grave Titan, 4 and 2 black, Death Touch 6/6. Whenever Grave Titan enters the battlefield or attacks, put 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield. Once again, we're trying to go as wide as possible with all these tokens that can either defend or all attack. We like to attack a lot with them when we get to other cards further in the list. We already talked about Brutal Horde Sheep a little bit, but turning creatures sideways is what this deck wants to do. So it's a lot of fun, real simple strategy. Graven Predator Captain. Here's another one that's going to help us with some card draw. 3 black and a red for a 5/5 with Menache. Legendary creature, human warrior. Graven Predator Captain gets plus X plus O, where X is the amount of life you've lost this turn. Seems weird, right? When Graven attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, you draw cards equal to that creature's power, and you lose life equal to that creature's toughness. So Graven Predator Captain can get us a lot of cards when we're running short on stuff to do. If you do something like sack an Adeline mid to end game and draw like 10, 12 cards, that's going to be pretty powerful. You're going to have a lot to do, especially if you're building up treasure tokens and you're just looking for something to play. That's going to get the job done. Handward Garrison. Handward Garrison's another fun one. 2 and a red for a creature, human soldier. 2/3. Whenever it attacks, put 2 1/1 red human creature tokens onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking. Once again, going wide with tokens, and it has this fun ability of melding, which it melds with the land, which we'll talk about later. Hellrider, another pretty staple card. 2 and 2 red for a 3/3 devil with haste. And whenever a creature you control attacks, Hellrider deals 1 damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking. So here's a token payoff. You swing all your tokens sideways, and they're all going to do 2 damage right off the bat. So it's a lot like a raid bombardment on a creature. This is pretty nuts. You can probably finish a lot of people off endgame by just playing Hellrider and swinging your tokens. Hero Bladehold. This is a powerful booster, and once again, we're making lots of tokens. It's a 2 and 2 white for a 3/4 human knight with Battle Cry, which is whenever this creature attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1 +0 until end of turn. Whenever Hero Bladehold attacks, put 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking. So get this. So if just Hero Bladehold is out with Isshin, you're going to swing, and with Battle Cry triggered, you're going to get 2 tokens, but all your creatures are going to buff by 1, but they'll buff by 2, right, because it's an attack trigger. And then you'll get the tokens twice, and then the second time, the tokens that come out the first time are going to get buffed by the second Battle Cry buff. Like I said, this deck does a lot of math and a lot of things. It's pretty confusing. You end up taking really long turns, but lots of damage is dealt out. Here's a fun one. I just inserted this card. I actually pulled it out of my Osgear deck because that deck just doesn't, turn sideways a lot. But this here is super powerful when you're trying to get through and you're trying to turn sideways. He's a 2 and a red white for a legendary enchantment creature god, 7/4 indestructible, which is good on its own. And if your devotion to red and white is less than 7, it's not a creature. You're probably he's going to be a creature pretty fast in this deck. But get this, creatures you control have menace. So powerful. You have to have 2 creatures to block each one. But here's where it gets worse. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to attacking creatures you control. Here's your main protection from losing your board state, so Isshin can stay pumping them twice for attack triggers. Very powerful. I think a must if you're going to build this deck, because this deck's all about attacking. Kazul, Tyrant of the Cliffs, 3 and 2 red for a legendary creature, Ogre Warrior. He's a 5/4 on his own, but he says whenever a creature an opponent controls attacks, if you're the defending player, so this is fun. This is our first one of when they're attacking us. Create a 3/3 red Ogre creature token unless their controller pays 3. I'm going to tell you right now, not many people are going to pay 3 to stop you from getting a token. And you're going to get 2 of those tokens, so they got to play 6 to stop this from triggering twice. That is so good, and 3/3s are a pretty serious body just to get onto your board on someone else's turn, which means when it comes back to you, they're ready to rock and start turn sideways and smack. Very powerful. And he's a little bit higher on our curve, which we'll get to what our mana cost is for average later, but at a 5-drop, he's a good mid to late game protection. One of my favorites in the deck, Krenko, the Street Kingpin, 10th Street Kingpin, 2 and a red, legendary creature, Goblin, 1/2. Whenever Krenko 10th Street Kingpin attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Then create a number of 1/1 red Goblin creature tokens equal to Krenko's power. So let's just take a look at Krenko when he's first out. Say we pass a turn, or maybe he's got haste somehow. We swing. He's a 1/2. He's going to become a 2/2 and make 2 Goblin tokens. Then he's going to become a 2/3. Then he's going to become a 3/4 and make 3 more. So on his first swing, he's going to make 5 Goblin tokens. Very, very powerful. Like I said, we're going as wide as possible, and we're just trying to smack as much as we can. Lelia, the Blade Reforged. This is from the Osgear Precon, and I pulled this one out. 2 and a red for a legendary creature, Spirit Warrior, 2/2 with haste. This is going to help us get some more cards into hand. Not really into hand, but into play that we can use. She says when she attacks, exile top card of your library. You may play this card this turn. So you're going to exile 2 cards. And here is the cool part. Whenever you exile 1 or more cards, she gets a +1/+1 counter. So she's going to grow. You're going to have more cards to play from exile. Keep in mind, try not to play your lands if you're going to swing with Lelia, because you may pull some lands in exile and you want to utilize as many of those cards as you can. So try to play those lands from exile if you can. Leonin War Leader, another token generator, 2 and 2 white. Cat Soldier, 4/4. Whenever a Leonin War Leader attacks, create 2 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink that are tapped and attacking. Going to help our life total, going to make a ton of cat tokens. Lizard Blades, this is a new one from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. It's a 1/1 equipment lizard. This is a new thing. So equipments in Kamigawa are also creatures. So pretty interesting. It's got double strike, or it's got double strike itself, and if you equipped it, which it's reconfigure, which is essentially equipped for 2, gives a target creature double strike. That is just a way to attach something to a big beater that you're going to turn sideways anyways and smack some big damage. Very good. Mardu Strike Leader, 2 and a black. He's going to come in, make 2/1 white black warrior creature tokens. The dash ability we don't really care for as much, unless you really need to just get it out and get some things going. But get him out, start swinging, make 2/1s, and you're going to make 2 each turn. Very good. Nadir, Selfless Paladin. Now this card, when it first came out, I was very intrigued by, but the dungeon mechanic just isn't that powerful yet. Well, friends, I'm here to tell you, Isshin makes dungeons actually viable. Check this out. So he's a 3/3 of Vigilance. Whenever Nadir, Selfless Paladin, enters the battlefield or attacks, venture into the dungeon. So when he's attacking, you're going to venture into 2 rooms at a time. You're going to advance the dungeon 2 rooms at a time. I've had games of Brawl, which is shorter life, less life, faster-paced games where I've gone through all 3 of the dungeons we have right now. Very powerful. Sky Knight Vanguard. Oh, I guess I should read his second half. He says, other creatures you control get +1/+1 as long as you've completed a dungeon. So you get a bunch of tokens out. Now they're buffed a little bit. That's just a little bit icing on the cake. Really what you're trying to do is get through dungeons. Usually Tomb of Annihilation first to get the 4/4 Death Toucher. And then we just start going wide from there for some more. Sky Knight Vanguard is another one of our 2 drops, red and white for a 1/2 with flying. Whenever he attacks, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token that's tapped and attacking. Going to make 2 of those 1/1s. Sun Gold Sentinel, whenever it attacks, it exiles cards. You're going to exile 2 cards from graveyard. So here's your graveyard hate. So your black and green decks that are milling, or just your straight blacks that are putting things in the graveyard, this is your way to just shut those decks down. You find the most powerful card they want to reanimate, and you get rid of it. Thundering Raiju, this is another new one, 2 and 2 red for a 3/3 creature spirit with haste. Haste is good. We're going to start swinging right away. Whenever he attacks, you put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature you control. We're going to do that twice. And then he deals X damage to each opponent. Each opponent. So if you have 3 people, he's going to throw this at 3 of them, where X is the number of modified creatures you control, other than Thundering Raiju. So don't put the counters on himself. Yeah, you can target himself. Don't put the counters on him. Put them on everything else. And it says here, just for clarification, because modified is a new thing, equipments, auras you control, and counters are considered modifications. So modified creatures have to either be equipped, have an aura attached to them, or have some kind of counter, whether it's a death touch counter or a +1/+1 counter, so on and so forth. Another card that comes out early and gets the job done is Triumph Adventurer, a white and a black for a death touch. He's got first strike on your turn, and he ventures into the dungeon when he attacks. So you're going to, him combined with Nadir, you're going to clear every dungeon multiple times as long as they stay on the battlefield. That's it for our creatures. There are other creatures that could go in here. These are what I've built out of the cards I had and a few that I picked up. There are plenty of other options you could throw in there. One that comes to mind is Acerok, who I eventually will put in here. Once again, for clearing dungeons, he's going to make 2/2 zombies every time he attacks after clearing all the Tomb of Annihilation, which you're probably going to clear really quick with the other 2 dungeon crawlers in here. So he's one that I might throw in the future. But there's our 29 creatures, 30 creatures total combined with our commander. But let's move to sorceries. Sorceries, I'm only running one sorcery because, well, I should say this. I had more sorceries in here for removal, but Mardu does so well at instant speed removal that there was no need to waste spots by putting it in sorceries. So really, I have a dam in here. For 2 black, I can destroy a target creature. But really, this is everyone else is getting out of control. I overload it for 2 white and blow the board up. So that's really what this is in for. I want to run 1 board wipe because I really don't want to board wipe a lot with this deck. I'm trying to stay alive. We'll get to the land base later. Let's look at our enchantments. So enchantments, I don't usually play a lot of enchantments, honestly, but this deck just benefits from a few so good. So here's what I got in here right now. We've got our Brave the Sands. It gives everything vigilance, and it allows your creatures to block up to 2 things. So this deck with vigilance is just chaotic. All of these tokens, all of these creatures, you're blocking 2 at a time. You're really slowing everyone else down, and you are swinging without the worry of big crackback. Campaign of Vengeance, 3 and 1, a white and a black for an enchantment. Whenever a creature you control attacks, if any player loses a life, you gain a life. So Brutal Horde Chief on an enchantment. A little harder to remove, and once again, it's just incentive for turning creatures sideways and slamming them into people. Even if they're going to die, you probably late game just kill someone with Campaign of Vengeance alone. Duelist Heritage for 2 and a white. Whenever one or more creatures attack, you may have a target creature gain double strike. 2 creatures are going to gain double strike. Very powerful. Fervent Charge, it makes those tokens life-threatening. So it says whenever a creature you control attacks, it gets +2/+2 till end of turn. So they're all going to get +4/+4. This is just nuts. So all those 1/1 tokens are now 5/5s, which is lethal to most people if a few of those hit. And they're going to clear the board on a lot of creatures. Marchesa's Degree, and this is another one of those drainers. So when it enters the battlefield, you get the bonus to become the Monarch, which will take any card advantage we can in Mardu. But it also says when a creature attacks, you or a planeswalker you control, that controller loses 1 life. So here's the incentive to attack everyone else but you. If they attack you, they're going to take 2 damage with Isshin on the table. Very strong to hold people back, and yeah, it keeps you in the Monarch longer because no one wants to attack you and die. Mardu Ascendancy, this is another fun one. Whenever a creature you control attacks, you make a 1/1 Goblin. That triggers for every creature. It says whenever a non-token creature. So when your non-token creatures attack, for every one of them, you're going to make 2 1/1 red Goblin creature tokens that are tapped and attacking. So those 1/1s just add up. When they're coming from so many sources, you're doing so much damage at a time. And then you have the bonus of, so maybe you have a vigilance thing out like Brave the Sands, and you have that crackback and you want to clear the board. Well, here's a good way to maybe make some of those tokens survive and block out. So you can sacrifice it, and creatures you control get +0/+3 until end of turn. So now all of a sudden your creatures have a little bit of a bigger butt, some more padding to block the attacks coming in. Pretty cool little defense trick you can use. Outpost Siege. This is going to help us get our card advantage. It says when there's the battlefield, choose Khans or Dragons. Khan says at the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library till end of turn. You may play that card. We're almost always going to use Khans. Dragon says whenever a creature you control leaves the battlefield, Outpost Siege deals 1 damage to any target. Honestly, the Dragon setting in this card is more the Aristocrat strategy. There's no real sack outlets in here. I guess maybe in the instance of putting someone in a bad position, you could say Dragons late game and then swing out knowing they have to block and then they take damage anyway. But most of the time we're going to play Khans for that card advantage. Search the Premise, another one when we bonus from people attacking us. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, investigate. Not the greatest token that it makes, but it makes clue tokens that pay 2, sacrifice the clue token, you can draw a card. It's not the best card draw, but if we're playing right and we have a lot of treasure tokens going on, 1 treasure with Goldspan Dragon out will pay for the draw card. That's pretty good. 1 treasure token for a card draw, I'll take that. And then Sarah's Blessing, creatures you control have vigilance. Once again, we just want to get our creatures to not turn sideways. We want them to attack straight forward so they can return the block on the crackback. So just a nice powerful, and it's only a 2-drop, 1 and a white. Very powerful card. Instances. So like I said, Mardu has the best instances. These are ones that I just pulled out of the bulk I had. I guarantee there are better ones than this, but I'll just show you what I'm playing with now. I'm playing with 14 instances. Pretty good interaction, I think. We have an Abrade, which does 3 damage to target creature or destroy an artifact. Pretty versatile for 1 and a red. Boros Charm, pretty versatile, 4 damage to a player or planeswalker. You can give some indestructible, so if you want to hit that big swing and not lose your creatures. Or target creature gains double strike, so you can hit a big smack in. Maybe you have your Dracoseth out, he's the only flyer on the table. Hit someone for 14, seems pretty good. D-Spark, can take care of a big creature. Exile, super powerful to exile, so no graveyard synergy. We're going to take it out of the game, something 4 or greater. Dire Tactics, you can exile a creature for white and black. If you don't control a human, you lose life equal to its toughness. There's a lot of humans in this deck. You're probably going to never take damage from toughness when Dire Tactics is used. Go for the Throat. Destroy target creature, lose 2 life. Actually, that's Infernal Grasp. We're having some delays here.
Hey guys, we want to take a break in the deck tech breakdown just to give a chance to plug in some of our accounts. So hit us up on Instagram at Pastor Plays. It's a great place to see just some photos of the things we're working on and upcoming videos and so on and so forth, as well as like and subscribe to the videos. It keeps the content rolling, and it just it shows your love and support, which we're big fans of you guys. Thank you for doing that for us. As well as head over to www.ko-fi.com/pastorplays. This is a good way for you to support through donations to help us upgrade our equipment, help us be able to purchase minis and different tabletop things to be able to review or to paint for you guys. It's just a great way to support the channel. So head on over there and give us your support. Let's get back to the deck tech.
Go for the Throat. 1 and a black, destroy target non-artifact creature. A little bit restrictive, but most of the time creatures are not artifacts as well. Infernal Grasp, destroy a creature, lose 2 life. Cabrera Takedown, doubles as a tap land. Not as powerful if we have to use it as a land, obviously, but the versatility is worth it. It deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control, the target creature or planeswalker. As we've already established, having so many creature tokens, this thing is going to just kill something. Lapse of Certainty is a fun one. So Lapse of Certainty is maybe more expensive than it needs to be, a 2 and a white, but it is a white counterspell. It puts it on top of their library, so not only is it a counterspell, but it also kind of stops their card draw a little bit. They're going to draw something they already know exists, so that's pretty fun. That one may get switched out in the future, but I like that one as kind of an annoying stop. Mortify for 1 white and a black, destroy target creature enchantment. We have that enchantment ability, so we can have some versatility there. Path to Exile, a classic. Exile creature, and its owner can search for a basic land card put on the battlefield tapped. We help ramp them a little bit, but it's worth it if you need to get rid of a big banger from their table. And Exile is just so strong. Poison the Cup, we foretell it early. We wait until we need to kill something. For 1 and a black, we destroy a creature and we get the scry off of it. Card advantage always helps. Power Word Kill, probably our most restrictive kill spell. You can destroy a non-angel, non-demon, non-devil, non-dragon. But there are a lot of card types that this thing still does take off the table. Still worth playing, I think. And Swords of Plowshares, exile another creature, and its controller gains life equal to its power. So this one is just good creature removal. You're going to exile once again. They do get a little bit of a payoff depending on what you're removing, but for 1 white to get rid of someone's biggest threat, I think it's worth it. And then Terminate. For a black and a red, destroy target creature. It can't be regenerated. That can't be regenerated helps us out for those kind of strategies where they're bringing creatures back right away. So pretty powerful. And then moving on to our artifacts. Most of our artifacts are going to be of the ramp assortment. However, there are some fun ones too that are different. You have your standard arcane signets, adding 1 mana of any color. Charcoal Diamond adds black, comes in tapped. Dolmen Gate is another. It's like a Iroas here. It gives us non-combat. It gives us damage, no damage during combat. So this is a card you get out on turn 2 and you swing away and don't feel any need to protect yourself. It really does sometimes put my blinders on and makes me just go crazy and I get cracked back too hard. But this is going to keep your creatures alive, which is essentially what you need in a deck like Isshin. Felwar Stone, it's going to add 1 mana of any color or land your opponent could produce. Fire Diamond is going to produce your red. Hammer of Perforos is going to give creatures haste. If this gets out early enough, you're going to start the engine moving now. The sacrifice in the land for the golem doesn't really do much for us, so we're not really playing that for that at all. Maybe, I guess, if we need to get one more creature in for something, but really, creatures having haste is what makes this powerful. Marble Diamond taps for white. Orzhov Signet taps for white-black. Rakdos for black-red. Savai Crystal, pretty powerful, taps for red-white-black. Soul Ring is just classic, 2 colorless. And Sword of the Animus is very powerful. So the tap creature gets a 1/1 buff, but also whenever you attack, you search for a land. So you're searching for 2 lands. This is like the best way to ramp in colors that don't have green. So I always include a Sword of the Animus if I have one, or if the local store has one. Pretty good card. And then last but not least, our land base. We have a Battlefield Forge. These are fun. You can add red or white, but they deal damage to you. Cave of Koilos does the same thing with white or black. Command Tower, best land in all of Commander in my opinion. Dragon Skull Summit. These are the excellent lands. Enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a swamp or a mountain. Iganjo Castle. I actually pulled this as set boosters have like the last card every like 4 packs that is from an old set. Well, funny enough, I got an old Iganjo Castle, so I threw it in here. It taps for a white. And also you can pay a white and tap it to prevent 2 damage. Maybe keep something alive. I don't know if it's really all that great, but I threw it in here. I have the new Iganjo in here, which has these channel abilities. You can channel it for 2 and a white and discard it. It deals 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature, and it costs 1 less to activate for each legendary you control. There's a lot of legendaries in here, but what's really cool about this is you basically just have a removal spell on a land if you don't need a late game. Evolving Wilds, Mana Fixing, Exotic Orchard, kind of Mana Fixing. Red, White, Black gives us cover. Well, this takes it from our opponents, so I mean, if they're playing blue or green, maybe not as useful, but it can potentially get us the colors we need. Fabled Passage, 4 more lands. The land comes in untapped, but it's going to help us fix. Fury Call Snarl, you can reveal mountain or plain. It comes in untapped. Pretty powerful. That's out of the Strixhaven set. Grim Climb Pathway as a flip land. It flips black and white. Handwear Battlements is the other half of our Handwear Garrison, which let's take a look at this meld here. I'll open up in another window. So by itself, it says it taps for colorless. You can pay red and make a target creature have haste. Haste enabling is good. But for 3 red, if we have both the battlements and the garrison, we can exile them, and then they come back as this guy. The Handwear of the Writhing Township, a legendary creature, Eldrazi Ooze 7/4, with trample and haste, so it's coming now. And it says when the Writhing Township attacks, you put 2 3/2 colorless Eldrazi Horde creature tokens onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking. So you're going to make 4 3/2s. Very powerful. And these meld cards are fun because the 2 cards essentially push up against each other and make a gigantic card on the table. Whenever that happens, everyone always holds their breath, like, oh boy, here we go. Isolated Chapel. If you control a plain or a swamp, it comes in untapped. Pretty powerful. Run 3 mountains. A Nomad Outpost comes in tapped, but it fixes red, white, and black. 3 plains. Roadside Reliquary. This is another new land. Taps for colorless or 2, and you can pay 2 and sack it to draw a card. If you control an artifact, important to note. And you can also draw a card if you control an enchantment. So potential 2 for 2, which is really good. Survive Trial. Another land comes in tap, but fixes red, white, black. Shattered Sanctum. If you have 2 or more lands, comes in untapped, white and black. Smoldering Marsh. If you control 2 or more basic lands, comes in untapped, red, black. And look at that. It's got that land, swamp, mountain. If you're playing one of the other, the more expensive fetch lands, this is a powerful card to combo off and go get something powerful. Or not really combo off, but just synergize well. Sokazen, Crucible of Defiance, one of the new legendary lands from Lian Dynasty. It's also got that channel ability for 3 and a red. You can discard it, create 2 1/1 colorless spirit creature tokens. They gain haste on of turn. Not super powerful, but maybe sometimes you need a token late game. You don't need a land. Sundown Past. If you have 2 or more lands, comes in untapped or enters the battlefield tapped unless you have 2 more lands. So yeah. So on turn 3, comes in untapped. It taps for red, white. Good mana fixer. Run Swick Swamps. Terramorph the Expanse, same as Evolving Wilds and Evolve of Champions, which enters the battlefield tapped unless you have 2 more opponents. So at a full table, always going to come in and be able to fix white and black. Let's look at some stats. So like I said, I built most of this out of bulk because I had a Wolfguard deck that it just wasn't performing because of the higher mana cost, and green does get you the mana you need, but red-green is just not as attack happy as Mardu is. So we broke that deck down, mixed our cards in. Looking over here at Card Kingdom and TCG Player, this deck is coming in at Card Kingdom just under $300 at $291 on the high side. And TCG Player Market Mint, you're looking at $244. You probably can get that lower, around that 240 number, depending on card damage or cards you already have. As always, look through the cards you have and play what you can, or trade with your local game shop and see if you can not buy new from these websites. It will help bring that price down a bit. When we look at our kind of breakdown here, we're running 34 lands, 14 instances, 9 enchantments, 12 artifacts, and 30 creatures. Like I said, this is a little bit creature heavy because we need to attack to make the deck work. Here's our kind of mana curve. You're looking, we have a bulk of the stuff plays on turn 2. So that's what we're aiming for. We're really aiming to get a Soul Ring out or something on turn 1. You know, best case scenario obviously is like Soul Ring into Arcane Signet on turn 1 would be great, right? But then we're playing a bulk of our things, some mana rocks and stuff on turn 2 to build up for a big creature heavy turn 3, and maybe an Isshin on 4. Now remember, if I can get out a couple of those 2 drops on early enough, I'll play Isshin on 3. But usually I'm playing Isshin around 4 or 5 and holding up mana while I play small creatures to have that instant speed removal. So Isshin just has some protection when we start playing. It says it's a 90% casual deck. I play everything casual, so that's no big deal. 7 mythics, 45 rares, 29 uncommons, and 7 commons. Average CMC, so this is important. I try as a rule of thumb to be below 3 with everything I build. So this one, it comes in at 2.97. The original build had, I have this maybe board here. The original build had some cards, let's see here, like an Artisan of Kozilek's a 9-drop. Garner Bloodflame's a 5, Elaharg's a 5, Mardu's a 5, Mardu Rough Rider's a 5, Patriot Kinsuni's a 6, Sun Titan's a 6, Terror of the Peaks is a 5. Yeah, so I took out a lot of these cards, just Gratuitous Violence, yeah, another 5-drop with 3 red specific. Honestly, a lot of it was just kind of overkill, and really I wanted to get that that mana curve down. It had it up to like 3.8 at one point, and it was just plays too slow to me. You have to get things out fast and get rocking. And these lands I have on here definitely should be just auto includes. They're just cards I don't possess right now, and I'm not trying to spend that money. Smoldering Marsh is on the board over here, though. I just need to take it off this list. But these 3, they'll make it in eventually. And I don't usually play with the expensive shock lands or fetch lands because I don't like spending money on land. It's just all there is to it. Yeah. So that is what I've got for Isshin. I'm calling it the Honor Through Battle because the whole idea is to swing creatures sideways and do what Samurai do best, and that's take it to somebody using his 2 swords here. He's so cool. I love everything Samurai, so it's just a fun build for me. But that's what I got, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah. Go ahead and check out our account. What's your life total on Tapped Out or Pastor Plays on Instagram and YouTube. And yeah, like, share, and subscribe. Love you guys.